Welcome back, beautiful souls, to the Goddess Yoga Podcast. I'm your host, Christine, yoga teacher, intuitive, and creator of the Goddess Yoga brand, where we explore embodiment, self-love, and divine feminine energy in our everyday lives. Today's episode is all about the Blair Waldorf Effect. Yes, the queen of the Upper East Side herself. She's iconic, stylish, confident, and completely unapologetic about who she is. But what I really want to explore today is the energy behind Blair. That unshakable self-worth, that knowing that she's the main character, and that refusal to be manipulated or diminished by anyone. This fall, I want you to start walking through life like you're in your Blair Waldorf era. Grounded, graceful, magnetic, and completely aware of your power. Quick promo before we dive in. If you're ready to embody your own main character energy in your life, your business, or your relationships, my main character energy program is open now. It's all about becoming the star of your own story, setting standards that align with your higher self, and radiating goddess confidence. You can find all the details in the show notes. Okay, let's get into it. Hello, goddesses. Oh my goodness. It is so good to be back, sitting down, recording a podcast episode. It has been a doozy of a month, the past couple weeks. I was supposed to upload an episode last weekend. I was not able to do that. Because of that, I'm actually going to be uploading this episode and an affirmation episode that will tie into this episode as well. So you'll get 2 episodes. But anyway, now that we're like dilly-dally talking, before we even get into this podcast, because I love this idea, I was on TikTok and I saw a bunch of Blair Waldorf posts and I got inspired to create this podcast, along with a lot of the things in this podcast that we are going to be going over are parts that I personally feel are coming from my own personal experience in life at the moment. I'm kind of tying it into the main character energy archetype, as well as the it girl archetype, which is who we're talking about today, the lovely and incredible and amazing, iconic Blair Waldorf. But anyway, there were so many eclipses going on, so many transitions, so many things, crazy chaos happening in my life, I'm sure, and a lot of other people's lives in the world, it seems. A lot of things are going crazy. So I'm back, super glad to be here. If you also are going through it just like me, let's take a moment to take a deep breath right now before we even get into this podcast, because it's important to take the space for yourself to receive the information, what we're going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath. And release. So I'm just going to... I did this the last episode and I actually really liked it. But I'm not going to do this every episode. I just think that we're going to clear the space for the episode to come through. Beautiful energy. Here we are. Heart chakra activated. Let's get into it. Section 1. The Blair Waldorf archetype. The sovereign feminine in heels. Let's start with Blair Waldorf as an archetype. Blair is not just a character. She's an embodiment of the sovereign feminine in a modern world. She's the woman who knows that elegance and ambition can coexist. She's disciplined, she's intuitive, and she's strategic. But underneath the designer headbands and cutting remarks, there's a heart that deeply craves love, loyalty, and belonging. That's what makes her so relatable. She's not perfect, she's human, and she turns her pain into power. Spiritually, Blair represents the initiation of self-worth. She's constantly tested by love, friendship, and rejection. Yet she keeps rebuilding herself stronger each time. That's the energy I want you to channel this fall. Not perfection, but resilience. In Goddess Yoga, this is the energy of the solar plexus rising into the heart. It's the balance between strength and softness, leading with confidence and compassion. For yoga context, I'm going to give you an embodiment cue. So when you stand in mountain pose, visualize yourself in Blair's world. The marble floors, the scent of peonies, the feeling of walking like you own the moment. Lift your chin slightly and feel that sovereign posture, grounded, graceful, and utterly in command of your space. That's not arrogance. That's remembrance. I find it very admirable that Blair Waldorf embodies this archetype of knowing exactly who she is, regardless of anyone in her life telling her differently, if they try to put anything onto her, if they try to project anything onto her. She is so rooted in herself and she knows who she is to the core, where like she's unshakable. And I think that's something that we can all take inspiration from and kind of apply that into our lives and how we see ourselves, or at least working towards that version of ourselves, holding that kind of like as a standard of I should feel so rooted in myself that nobody around me, nothing around me can shake me or change my views of who I am or tell me anything different, because I know who I am to my core. And everything that you do is really built off of that authenticity and from that sense of self. And how much more powerful would you be with your life, with decision making, with getting things that you want, or even just going through things that you don't want, or whatever other unfortunate circumstances that happen in life. If you have that mentality, you are set. Like, you are such a strong woman. And why can't you get everything that you want? You know, she goes after what she wants because she's so sure of herself. So think about it that way. Like, why can't you get anything and everything you want as well? Because, girl, you deserve it. This is bringing us to section number 2, which is emotional strategy and energetic boundaries. How Blair never gets played. Blair Waldorf's real superpower isn't her style. It's her emotional intelligence. She's aware of the undercurrents in every room. She knows when someone's trying to manipulate her, and she refuses to give away her power. This does not mean that she never gets hurt. It means that she learns from who hurt her and never lets the same wound open twice. Think of that moment when she told Chuck, "Don't come to me unless you mean it." That's divine boundary work in action. It's not a threat, it's self-respect. And for you, as a goddess in her own right, this translates to energy work. It's recognizing when someone's trying to feed off your light, drain your peace, or distort your truth. It's feeling that pull and saying, no, my energy belongs to me. In Goddess Yoga, we practice this through energetic sealing. So, what is energetic sealing? I'll tell you. So I want you to visualize your aura as a veil of gold light. You don't have to harden or armor yourself. You simply choose what you allow in. You are the person that is in control of what you allow and what you do not allow, what you tolerate and what you will no longer tolerate. It doesn't matter if 5 years ago you were a different person and you tolerated all of these things that now you are finding you cannot tolerate any longer, and you will not stand for that any longer. You can change your values at any time. If you find yourself in this position where you really genuinely feel like your values are being undermined, tested, if your needs are not being met, if your values are not showing themselves to you in a way where the people in your life align with your values, or the spaces in your life align with your values. It could go for home life. It could go for your career, right? It could go for all of your relationships, family, friends. It doesn't matter. What are your values? Really think about that, because that's kind of the core of who you are building yourself on. what you believe about yourself, your self-respect, because there are going to be so many people out there that don't respect themselves, and they will try to disrespect you, okay? If you let people just treat you however they want to treat you, you will be a doormat, all right? I'm not even joking. Even if it's like, well, I'm a people pleaser, and it's hard for me to say no because I just feel really bad, saying no or not being available. Let's stop that narrative right there. I was a people pleaser as well, so I totally understand. I'm definitely an anti-people pleaser, learning how to not be a people pleaser any longer. And let me tell you something. When you get out of people pleasing, you are going to feel like a bitch, okay? You are going to feel like a villain. You're going to feel like you're in your villain arc. Are you a bitch? No. Can you be a bitch? Yes. Like, obviously, there's that fine line between, like, holding your values and boundaries and having self-respect, and then being a bitch, like being rude about it, being mean about it, like whatever. I would classify Blair as a very, like, she has her shit together, she knows what she wants, and she can be a little bitchy, but that's okay because we're women. Like, I feel sometimes we just have that extra sass and extra personality and, like, uniqueness to us. That's just naturally going to come out. And I think with the more confidence that you kind of have this, like, flair, or you can have this flair of sassiness because you're confident, because you know yourself. I mean, if that's who you are, you know what I mean? What I am trying to say with all of this, because I might just be rambling on about this topic, you have to teach people how to treat you. And this is a very hard lesson, especially for a people pleaser. But you have to teach people how to treat you. You cannot expect people to know how to treat you. And when they do something that crosses a boundary of yours or undermines a value or doesn't align with your values, whatever that may be, obviously be mindful and pick your battles wisely. But whatever you're really feeling like, this is really pressing for me, this is uncomfortable for me because this doesn't align with me, or I feel disrespected by this interaction, you have every right to feel how you feel. And you have every right to set the necessary boundaries that will help you feel safer in your own body. Because at the end of the day, these boundaries are not for anybody except for yourself. They are so that you can make sure that your nervous system is safe and your nervous system is okay. It's not for anybody else. And sometimes the people that receive the boundary on the opposite end, it's harsh and it seems rude and it seems like potentially cold and like out of nowhere. But that's the thing. It's not supposed to be for them. It's supposed to be for you. And the people that love you will need to just accept the boundary, and it shouldn't be a problem, is what I'm trying to say. And if it is a problem, then you really need to rethink that relationship and the dynamic of that relationship and really ask yourself if it is really serving you. And this goes for family. This goes for anybody, any relationship. This goes for friends. This goes for even your relationship with your boss or your coworkers or even just the job itself. Like, it's just so important because when we are not living where we're standing up for ourselves, we're really doing ourselves a disservice. At the end of the day, the only person you're harming is yourself. So, anyway, that may have been a lot. I have a lot to say about this, like I said, but I do think that this is a very important section and definitely something to think about and to ponder. On to section 3, which is elegance as power. Ritualizing confidence in the Waldorf way. Let's talk about Blair's signature traits, which is effortless glamour. I mean, genuinely love her sense of style. I just love everything about Blair, to be honest with you. She is my favorite character on Gossip Girl. I did not mention Gossip Girl in any of this podcast before. I mean, I just assumed everybody knows who Blair Waldorf is. And if you are now at section 3 and like, who the hell is Blair Waldorf? If you have not watched Gossip Girl, please do yourself a favor. It's fall now, so you should totally watch Gossip Girl. It's just a vibe. It's amazing. I've watched every single episode. I love this show. I absolutely love the Thanksgiving episodes. In fact, every Thanksgiving, it's a wonderful thing to just watch the Thanksgiving Gossip Girl episodes. I will actually put a thing in the episode notes about all of the Gossip Girl episodes that are Thanksgiving episodes, or like just like fall episodes. Back to Effortless Glamour of Blair Waldorf. Okay, her elegance isn't about pleasing others. It's about self-expression, self-respect, and standards. All what we were talking about in the last section. So great. She dresses for herself, not for validation. That's the deeper magic of her image. Blair understands that presentation is an energetic statement. When she walks into a room, people feel her confidence before she even speaks. This is where fashion and spirituality intersect. What you wear can amplify your frequency. And I know I've talked about how important fashion is and how it is definitely something that can be used to manifest. It could be used to anchor in your main character energy, your next level self. And fashion plays a really big role in the spiritual aspect, like we were mentioning, because it's intentional and it's calling in and anchoring in that frequency for you to hold yourself to that standard. So if you would like to wear a Blair Waldorf inspired outfit, or something that really inspires you about Blair Waldorf that you could incorporate into your closet to kind of hold that Blair embodiment, highly suggest. And that'll actually be really fun with the fall time. I'm so sorry, my computer just keeps making a bunch of noises. So think of your self-care, your yoga flow, your skincare, your outfits, not as vanity, but as a ritual. So every detail is an offering to your higher self. In Goddess Yoga, we teach that grace is power. You can be soft and strong, feminine and assertive, polished and primal. That's what Blair mastered. The art of polarity. Here is an embodiment cue. So next time you get ready, do it with intention. Mist rose water like a goddess anointing herself on your face, or if you have a favorite perfume, it doesn't have to be like a skincare spray, but any type of spray, like mist yourself like a goddess anointing yourself. Play your favorite playlist and look at yourself in the mirror and think, I am art. And if you need to repeat that, you want to write an affirmation of I am art and put it in your mirror so that you always think of that when you look in the mirror. That is another little fun thing to do to anchor this in. Blair would never underestimate the power of showing up like you mean it. And neither should you. If it helps to have some affirmations to put up on the mirror, like I mentioned earlier, so that whenever you're getting ready, you always have that in front of your face to remind you, like, I am beautiful. I am art. I am powerful. I am strong. I do know what I want. I'm going to be recording an affirmation podcast episode to go with this episode. So if you really feel the Blair Waldorf power vibes, with the polarity of being feminine, but also knowing what you want and going for what you want, you can use some of those affirmations to put on your mirror or put on your phone or put wherever you really feel like you'll see it all the time and you'll remember to embody that throughout your day. So just a little tidbit. But what we've seen from Blair Waldorf in Gossip Girl is that she always knows how to dress to impress. She always knows the occasion and like when to rise to the occasion. And she's also very fierce. So even though she's wearing her skirts and her heels and her tights and headbands, she's not like, oh, I'm just so feminine. Like, yeah, you can like do whatever you want. Like, you know, like she's like feminine and girly, but she's assertive. And that's what we were talking about, where she shows up like she means it. And you should be showing up like you mean it too, whether it be your outfit, how you prepare yourself to get ready. I mean, when she gets ready for school, she like has this whole thing that she does to like prepare herself for the day. And she treats herself like a queen, honestly, and she knows she's a queen. So I really think that if you were to start every day incorporating parts of your rituals and parts of your routines to get ready, to enforce that confidence within yourself and that power within yourself, and that like, I can get things done and I can still be feminine. I don't have to be like in my masculine energy. I can stay in my feminine energy and have that polarity within me, because you can be feminine and you can still get what you want. You can be feminine and you can still be a boss, you know? You don't have to be like super harsh and super masculine oriented to get what you want. But there is that beauty of being feminine, staying in your femininity, and recognizing and knowing your strengths so that you can tune that into your masculine energy. And then you have a nice balance of the feminine and masculine while you're embodying your next level self. And I feel like that just attracts so much abundance, because you're really working with the two frequencies and the two energies of like divine feminine, divine masculine, making them kind of work in a way where it's aligned for you. In return, we receive a lot of abundance when we are working with the masculine and feminine energies in that way, because there is a sense of harmony with that. And with harmony comes abundance. Okay, we are on to section 4, which is the spiritual lesson, the shadow and ascension of Blair Waldorf. Blair's story isn't about perfection. It's about transformation. She begins as someone who tries to control everything, relationships, reputation, outcomes. But by the end, she learns surrender. She learns that true power comes from trusting herself. That's her spiritual awakening. Every goddess goes through this phase. The shadow initiation, where the ego wants to hold on, but the soul whispers, let go. For Blair, it was releasing control of others. For you, it might be letting go of people's approval, timelines, or the need to prove your worth. We're going to take a little break to kind of dive a little bit deeper into letting go what your soul is just not able to carry anymore because it's just not serving you. You really have to sit with your circumstances and the things that you have tolerated, the things that you have, like maybe friendships that you have in your life, or just like circumstances that you have in your life that you have convinced yourself to be okay with or tolerating for the time being because that was like what you survived on. It's like you were on survival mode. You don't need to live in that anymore. And actually, when you are living in survival mode, you are so disconnected to yourself, to your true self, because it puts you into fight or flight. And when you are in fight or flight constantly, a little thing to remind you, if you're in environments where you're constantly triggered into fight or flight, whether that be, doesn't matter, friends, family, job, location, like where you live, if you have neighbors that make you feel like this, it is a sign that you need to readdress and reassess those values, those people, those things, because you want to make sure that you're in environments and places and relationships that support you. And I will also say that when you are pushed to being in survival mode, into fight or flight mode, it's a lot easier for people to manipulate you and to control you and to try to have a hand in your life and making decisions for you, because you're a little bit more malleable to be controlled just based off of you not being in your authenticity. You're in survival mode. So when you're in survival mode, you'll, resort to maybe just letting people do what they want to like keep the peace, or you'll be really reactive and you will like give all this emotional drama to the situation because you're reacting, because you're fighting, right? It really depends obviously on like what your survival mode tactic is or what your survival mode really illuminates for you. But I do think that it's important to keep that in mind and to really ask yourself, what is it that is not serving me anymore? That may have served me, like we talked about earlier in this episode, that may have served me a couple years ago, but maybe not now. What is your soul telling you to let go of, that you know you need to let go of for your best self? This is all for the benefit of your life and the benefit of you. And everybody goes through a shadow initiation, and I think that everybody goes through like a dark night of the soul, or many dark nights of the soul, because I'm right there with you, ladies. I have had many dark nights of the soul, lots of shadow work, but that's all beautiful because you're transforming your darkness into light. It's all about alchemy, right? So even if you're struggling with the circumstances that we were talking about earlier, and you are finding yourself in survival mode a lot based on those circumstances, that's okay. I know it's dark, I know it's heavy, but It is a transformative place to be, and with all transformation comes beauty and light, and you can alchemize your situation and turn something really dark into something really powerful and beautiful. Think of it as like a phoenix rising from the ashes. You can get up and you can begin again at any point in time, and it doesn't matter who you were before, where you were before. All that matters is who you are right now in this very moment, and what decision you make from that place in this very moment. And that's what matters. Blair evolves into her priestess era. She still wears the crown, but now it's made of wisdom, not ego. In yoga, this is the movement from Manipura, solar plexus, to Anahata, heart chakra. Power becomes compassion. Ambition becomes alignment. Here is an embodiment cue. In Warrior 2, feel your power. In Camel Pose, open your heart. Let your inhale remind you, I am powerful, and let your exhale remind you, I am love. When you blend the two, you become unstoppable, elegant and electric, just like Blair at her highest self. Okay, so now we are on to section 5, which is the fall era, reclaiming the throne within. Fall is Blair's season. Crisp air, layers, ambition, a hint of mystery. It's also a time for reflection and redefinition. So ask yourself, what version of me no longer fits my throne? Where am I giving my power away? What would my Blair self do differently this season? This is your time to reclaim your narrative. Be intentional, be magnetic, make everything from your coffee to your yoga flow a declaration of your identity. If Blair Waldorf is a girly that inspires you, like this podcast is all about, use that. Who's my Blair self? You know what I mean? Like, who is my Blair self? How can I embody that version of Blair within my own self, in my own life? Don't copy paste, but use it as an inspiration and as a tool to navigate how you want to show up like her in that way that benefits and serves you, right? You got to get to why you want to do it. You got to get to the reasons, the values as to why, but also thinking like that can take you out of your circumstances and outside of your box of your own perspective, and kind of putting your eyes into like a bigger picture of like, how can I benefit myself in this way if I look at my life from this lens? How can I change my life to benefit me from looking at it from this bigger lens outside of my normal lens? You're looking at your life from a different perspective in that way, and I think that's a beautiful way to see where things can improve, where you can release certain things. And I think that's really beneficial. Here is a ritual idea. I will say that probably in almost every episode, I might bring up Pinterest boards as an option or as something to talk about, talking piece, because as you all know, I am obsessed with Pinterest. But this ritual is to create your Blair board, a fall vision board of the woman you're becoming. We talked about this last podcast as well, just like creating a fall vision board or just like your main character energy board. This can be the same. You pick your boards the way that you see fit. With the Blair Waldorf Fall Vision Board, you can include textures, colors, affirmations, and goals that represent your higher self. Set this on your altar, on your phone, on your desktop. If you want to print it out and put it on a wall. If you are more of a magazine cutout on a cork board type of girl. But basically, you just want to have a daily reminder that you can see that and say, I am in my power. And before we close today, I just want to little chit chat, because we're chatting. This podcast is a lot of chatting. I want to talk about identity. Okay. And I want to talk about the releasing of old identities and the coming of new identities. Like we've talked about this entire episode, it doesn't matter, and I've said this several times, I believe, but it doesn't matter who you were, who you thought you were in the past, and that doesn't dictate who you are today. Yes, your past is important. You've made decisions and choices to get to where you are today, and in that way, everything that you have done in your past has created the person that you are right now. So you have to give yourself a lot of grace and a lot of love and compassion for your past decisions, mistakes, whatever it is that you don't like about your past or really like about your past. Like, you need to give yourself a lot of love about it, because that is how you got to where you are. okay? But just because all those decisions led you to where you are today does not mean that you need to continue to operate from those past influences, those past versions of yourself, those past decisions. That doesn't matter. Do you want to know what the only thing that matters is in the present moment? I'll give you an answer. It is the present moment. Okay? There is nothing that you can do to get into the future in the present moment. And there is nothing you can do to get into the past in the present moment. You can go into flashbacks, right? You can dream about your future, but you are still stuck in the present. Okay? You are still in the present. So every single decision that you make in the present is shaping your future. It's shaping who you are going to be. So it is a lot of pressure if you think about it that way. But also, it is an incentive to remind you that you don't have to make the same decisions. You can reroute, reevaluate. You can change your entire life. You can begin again. You can say one day, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to change my entire life. This is how I'm going to do it. The next day, you just do it. Like, no questions. You don't need approval from anybody. You can decide when you want to change your life right now. You can decide that you want to be a different person right now. You can decide that, you know what, I'm tired of playing small. I'm tired of just like letting life pass me by and not sticking after myself, or not standing on business, or not, going after my goals and my dreams because I'm scared, or I have all these limiting beliefs, or in the past I wasn't like this. What if people think I'm a certain way because now I am like that? Like, who gives a fuck, okay? Who fucking cares about what other people have to think or say about your life? It doesn't matter. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's your mom, all right? I don't care if it's your cousin. I don't care if it's your best friend or your boyfriend. Like, who fucking cares? You should fucking care because it's your life. You should be the only one that cares, right, about your life the way that you should care about it because it's your life. Just like nobody's going to love you unless you love yourself. Like, nobody's going to give you the life that you want unless you give it to yourself. Like, you're the only person that can give you the love that you deserve. You're the only person that can give you the life that you deserve. And you're the only person that can speak up for yourself at the end of the day. So if you're putting your foot down on things that you used to tolerate, that you no longer are tolerating, that's okay. You can make that decision. It is your life. You have 100% autonomy and full capability of making those decisions for yourself, regardless if that makes anybody else in your life feel uncomfortable. Like we mentioned earlier, boundaries are for you. Boundaries are not for the people in your life. They affect the people in your life because it obviously will affect them, but it is for you, okay? Okay. You really need to think of yourself so highly that you are a queen, like you are on your throne, and everything in your life you chose. I mean, I know you can't choose every single thing, like you can't control everything, but you can filter what you allow and what you do not allow in your life. Even if there's chaos around you, okay, you could be literally in the midst of this most chaotic fucking thing that's happening, and you can be like, yeah, but I don't want to feel chaos, so I'm not gonna do that, and you can decide not to. And you could be in chaos, but you can internally be like, I love my life. I am so peaceful and everything is amazing and all of these things. And that doesn't affect you. You can filter in what you allow. Like we talked about earlier with having like a golden aura where it kind of filters out what you don't want and only allowing what you do. That's so important. That's so necessary because you really do need to filter like what you're going to let come in. It's just like you're filtering what you're reading, what you're watching, all of that, your thoughts, everything adds up to the person that you are becoming and what you're feeding yourself in media, content, your thoughts, what you're feeding yourself. So anyway, I know this was a long little ramble, but I just wanted to reiterate some of those points. And now we are going to close this podcast out. So my loves, this fall, I want you to walk through the world like Blair Waldorf with a divine twist. Be the woman who doesn't chase, she magnetizes. The woman who doesn't beg, she receives. The woman who doesn't let others define her worth because she already knows she's the main character. Remember, your power isn't something you earn, It's something you remember. And if you're ready to dive deeper into that transformation, to fully embody your own main character energy in your life, relationships, and spiritual journey, my main character energy program is open now. Inside, we'll go deeper into embodiment rituals, mindset rewiring, and goddess level confidence work. You can join through the link in the show notes or through my Instagram at The Goddess Yoga. Thank you so much for listening, beautiful souls. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot, tag me, and let me know your favorite takeaway. I love seeing you embody your goddess glow. Until next time, stay radiant, stay magnetic, and remember, you are the standard.